My name is sometimes Heather and I play Elder Scrolls Online. Last time, I took Lilyanne Rose, my Storm Sorc, around Elden Hollow 1, and today, I will share her build in more detail. The basis on this one lies on the Monolith of Storms, the Infinite Archive Sorcerer class set. I shared initial thoughts on this set in a video a couple of weeks ago, so I'll not get into detail on how to farm it out. Instead, let's start on Lilyanne's ability bars. First, our backup weapon, which is a lightning staff. I like to use critical surge to keep my vampires alive. This is the case with Lilyanne as well. Critical surge grants major brutality and sorcery, which add to weapon and spell damage. Whenever Lilyanne does critical damage, Surge heals her for a set amount. This is both convenient and deadly. I cannot recommend critical surge enough. Then we have Boundless Storm. This sends Lilyanne into lightning form, where she zaps enemies with a set amount of shock damage every 2 seconds as long as the effect lingers. She also gains Major Resolve, which increases physical and spell resistance. Casting this also grants Major Expedition, which increases movement speed. This is a fun feature when sprinting out in the open world, but I would rather see this do more damage. Next, we have Stupefy, which I rarely use. This stuns enemies for 5 seconds at a time. As enemies overcome this stupor, their movement speed is lessened for a short while. Stupefy also charms NPCs and forces bankers and merchants to do business with you, even when you are a stage 4 vampire. I would like to replace Stupefy with Blood Mist for more immersion and a touch of damage. Moving on, we come to Bound Aegis. When cast, this wraps Lilyanne into a suit of Daedric mail that increases block vegetation. I suppose the purple glow comes from this one. While slotted on either ability bar, Bound Aegis grants you minor resolve and minor protection and increases maximum magicka by 8%. I'd say this is a pretty good deal. Free status effects are always welcome. Last, on this weapon we have Structured Entropy. This deals a set amount of magic damage over 24 seconds, while also healing Lilyanne for a small amount every 2 seconds. To make the most of this one, you should push Mage's Guild skill line all the way to 10 and purchase all the passives. By doing so, you'll get Empower for 10 seconds every time you cast a Mage's Guild ability. I should work on that. Our main weapon is also a lightning staff. First, we have a Shock Spammer. A shocker, haha. Endless Fury hits a single enemy with a set amount of shock damage. If the enemy falls to or below 20% health within 4 seconds of being hit, an explosion deals shock damage to both the initial target and all enemies within reach. If the enemy dies within 5 seconds, Lilyanne restores a small amount of magicka. I love this ability and I feel this works pretty well with the monoliths. We'll get to those later. Then we have another spammer which I alternate with Endless Fury. Arterial Burst deals a set amount of magic damage to an enemy and also grants them the hemorrhaging status effect. This does more damage the lower Lilyanne's health drops, and below 50%, this is always a critical strike. Lilyanne's build isn't taking full advantage of this fun perk, but Rihanna's is. Check that one out over on that card. Next, Lightning Flood. This creates a nexus of storm energy, which deals a set amount of shock damage to all enemies within reach every second for 10 seconds at a time. An ally can activate the Conduit synergy, which allows this to deal even more shock damage all around. I really like this one, and for a Monolith build, I think Lightning Flood or Liquid Lightning, depending on preference, is a must. Then we have Storm Pulsar. This deals a set amount of shock damage to all enemies within reach and also afflicts them with minor mangle, which reduces their maximum health. As a fun perk, Pulsar does more damage as you kill enemies with it. This is one of my favorites, and I use Storm Pulsar often when enemies are numerous. Last, we have Inner Light, which I haven't gotten leveled up all the way. This, when cast, reveals stealthy and invisible enemies, which is a bit useless in player versus environment scenarios. In PvP, this actually comes in handy. In PvE, Inner Light is used for the boost it grants. When slotted in your active weapon bar, it grants Major Savagery and Prophecy, which increase weapon and spell critical rating and maximum magicka. Since this doesn't need to be actively used, I didn't feel it absolutely necessary to level it up. Our ultimate is the Swarming Scion, but Storm Atronach might actually be a better choice for this build. I would go for Greater Storm Atronach, which stuns enemies for 3 seconds and deals shock damage to all enemies around it. Its synergy grants Major Berserk to all allies, which greatly increases damage done for 10 seconds at a time. I might even try Overload here since it works together with Monolith of Storms. I personally enjoy the Swarming Scion, but it is an immersion ultimate, not one that you choose for maximum efficiency.
Can I help you with something?
Lilyanne's abilities mainly come from Storm Calling, Daedric Summoning, Destruction Staff, Vampire, and Major skill lines. I would purchase all the passives from these lines, along with passives from Dark Elf and Light Armor skill lines. As Lilyanne is a Magicka character, we have all of our attribute points on Magicka. Also, we're walking under the lever, boon to maximize physical and spell penetration. Let's move on to sets now. First, we have Monolith of Storms. Pieces to this set drop from the Infinite Archive when you slay a Toath or a Marauder. Pieces can also be purchased from Violet Azure for archival fortunes. The Monolith of Storms adds to critical chance and weapon and spell damage. With all 5 pieces equipped, a fun perk is unlocked. Dealing damage with a Storm Calling ability creates a monolith near the targeted enemy. You can have 3 of these and they pop up once per second. These monoliths link to each other to deal a set amount of shock damage to enemies between and near them every 2 seconds. The monoliths linger for 10 seconds at a time, and the amount of damage they do is scaled off your weapon and spell damage. I looked into the internet and noted that this set hasn't been well received. It's deemed as impractical and finicky, but I am really enjoying Monolith of Storms in an immersion build. For trials and DLC dungeons, this might not be the smartest choice. For our second 5-piece set, I chose Storm-Cursed Revenge. This drops from Shipwright's Revenge, a dungeon that's a part of the Ascending Tide DLC. Storm-Cursed adds to maximum magicka, weapon and spell damage, and offensive penetration. With 5 pieces equipped, a fun shock-related perk is unlocked. When you deal shock damage, you have a 15% chance to deal even more shock damage to the initial target and up to 2 other enemies within 5 meters. I figured this might boost the damage Monolith of Storms does, so I chose this over my other options, which were War Maiden and Nature's Touch. For our monster set, I chose Narayanth, or Narayanth. The helm drops when you slay the last boss in Crypt of Hearts 2 in Veteran. shoulders can be purchased from undaunted vendors. Lilyanne adds to weapon and spell damage. With both pieces equipped, you have a chance to summon a leech crystal to deal magic damage to all enemies close by whenever you do direct damage. This is a fun, easy-to-claim set. I thought this might balance out the nightmare of farming both an infinite archive and a DLC dungeon set. Also, since Lilyanne adds to weapon and spell damage, it allows Lilyanne's other armor perks to do even more damage. Let's take a look at champion points now. I'm still not good with this, so please don't trust me blindly. In Warfare, my active stars are Thaumaturge, Wrathful Strikes, Untamed Aggression, and Arcane Supremacy. In Fitness, I have Siphoning Spells, Rejuvenation, Fortified, and Boundless Vitality. In Crafts, I have Treasure Hunter, Homemaker, Plentiful Harvest, and Professional Upkeep. Do choose the stars that make playing fun for you. I've had my eye on the Monolith of Storms set ever since Infinite Archive was added to the game. Farming it out took a long time, but now that I have it, I totally love it. It's a very immersive armor set which seems to enjoy being paired with shock damage or magic damage boosting sets. I've had loads of fun with the Monoliths and Lilyanne's rebuild, and I'm looking forward to exploring more and more possibilities for Monolith of Storms in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. Next time, I thought I might show you an Icy Necromancer. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Ta!